1.4 metric tons of gold, worth more than Niger's entire annual health budget, just vanished. It slipped off a desert runway in Niamey, without a single piece of proper paperwork, past dozens of guards who seemingly looked the other way. It was only stopped because a sharp-eyed customs officer in Addis Ababa asked one simple, unforgettable question. Why does this cargo smell like jet fuel and fear? Today, we're going to follow that gold. We'll trace its journey from the dusty, dangerous shafts of northern Niger onto a shadowy ghost flight across an entire continent and almost into the gleaming vaults of Dubai. Instead, those illicit bars ended up in an Ethiopian evidence locker, and the photos. They absolutely blew up the internet. What looked like a single audacious heist is actually just one small, visible piece of a much larger pipeline. A vast clandestine network that has siphoned off at least 435 tons of African gold in just 1 year. Think about that for a second. That's enough gold to fill 3 Olympic swimming pools. At today's prices, we're talking about a staggering $31 billion in untaxed, undeclared, and let's be honest, mostly dirty metal. How does something like this even happen? And why does it keep happening? It was early January 2025, in the pre-dawn hours at Addis Ababa Bole International Airport. Surveillance footage captures a stark white Antonov cargo jet gently touching down at precisely 3:17 a.m. Ground crew, moving quickly under the cover of darkness, began to unload 6 massive wooden crates, all innocently labeled machine parts. But then the sniffer dogs did what they do best. They sat. A classic, unmistakable cue that something's definitely amiss. Officers, their suspicions confirmed, pried open a crate. Inside, instead of machinery, they found hundreds of glistening 400-gram bars, each one stamped with a distinctive coat of arms of Niger. There was no export permit, no airway bill, nothing to legitimize their presence. The total tally, a jaw-dropping 1,400 kilos, with a market value soaring past $100 million. The pilot's manifest, a flimsy piece of paper, claimed the final destination was DNCZ Free Zone Dubai, client to be named on arrival. Ethiopian federal police didn't hesitate. They moved in, the plane was grounded, and that enormous haul of gold was immediately trucked to the National Bank vault under heavy military escort. Within hours, Niger's government website buckled and crashed, overwhelmed by a torrent of angry citizens demanding answers. They wanted to know how their national treasure could simply disappear. So how exactly do you steal a ton of precious metal, metal that literally rings when you tap it, and spirit it away across international borders? Well, first, you make the airport itself blink. Niger's military junta, in a rare moment of candor, later admitted that the runway lights at Niamey were deliberately switched off for technical reasons on the very night those gold-filled crates were loaded. Coincidence? Hardly. The fallout was swift. 41 customs agents, 20 gendarmes, even the airport meteorologists, a staggering 82 people in total, were promptly suspended. Investigators, speaking to local radio, revealed that forged exit stamps, essential for bypassing official checks, cost the smugglers a paltry $2,000 per stamp. That's chump change, an insignificant cost when you consider the immense value of the cargo they were moving. The aircraft itself, leased through a shadowy Kyrgyz shell company, had previously flown humanitarian corn into Sudan. Same tail number, entirely different, far more illicit cargo. Once airborne, the flight plan was a bewildering zigzag. Niamey to N'Djamena, then Addis Ababa, and finally Dubai. The Chad stopover, crucially, never happened. The plane's transponder was spoofed, broadcasting false location data. Ethiopian radar only picked up the craft when it began its descent for refueling. Just one missed ping, one tiny slip-up in that meticulously planned deception, and that gold would be sitting in Dubai today, melted down, mixed with other metals, and quietly sold as ethical bullion on the world market. Niger, despite its vast mineral wealth, remains one of the world's 5 poorest nations. Yet, beneath its arid landscape, it sits on an estimated 160 tons of proven gold reserves. It's a cruel irony. Artisanal miners, some as young as 12, spend their days digging narrow, treacherous holes, hauling up sacks of ore, only to sell their meager findings to middlemen for a mere 70% of the spot price. The state, through its mining agency Soperman, is supposed to buy up the surplus, ensuring that this national resource benefits the nation. But Soperman's own data paints a grim picture. They captured less than 30% of the country's gold production last year. So, where did the other 70% go? Simple: follow the airstrips. In the desolate northern region of Agadez, satellite imagery reveals at least 10 clandestine runways, crudely bulldozed into the sand, that have appeared since 2020. French military sources, speaking to Le Monde, confirmed that one of these runways, stretching an impressive 2.2 kilometers, is robust enough to handle Ilyushin 76 freighters, even under the cloak of night. The cost of building such an infrastructure in the middle of the Sahara? Roughly $500,000, payable, of course, in untraceable gold bars, no invoices, no tax, just pure, illicit transaction. It's a testament to the scale and sophistication of these operations. Let's talk about Dubai. This glittering emirate now refines more gold than the United States and Switzerland combined. How did that happen? The numbers tell a stark story. The UAE officially reported importing 2,569 tons of African gold between 2012 and 2022. Yet during that exact same period, African states collectively declared exporting only 1,100 tons. Do the math with me. That's a staggering discrepancy of roughly 1,400 tons. Gold worth up to $278 billion. That simply vanished from official ledgers. Once this metal lands in Dubai, the process of laundering begins. Refineries, operating with minimal oversight, mix these conflict bars, this illicit gold, with legally mined doré. They then pour new bars, stamp them with the prestigious Dubai Good Delivery mark, effectively erasing their dubious origins. These newly legitimized bars are then shipped off to markets in India, China, Europe, and sometimes, astonishingly, even back to Africa as high-value jewelry. And here's a critical detail. The UAE's cash threshold for declaring inbound precious metal is a mere $16,335, roughly half a kilo at current prices. Anything below that simply rides the conveyor belt, anonymously, untraced. An industry insider, speaking candidly to Reuters, summed it up perfectly. If you can fit it in a briefcase, no one asks for a story. The system isn't broken, you see. It's meticulously engineered to facilitate this flow. While Ethiopian customs absolutely deserves credit for this significant bust, it's important to understand that the same corridor sees smaller, smuggled loads passing through every single week. Ethiopia, too, is wrestling with its own gold problem. The informal mines in the Tigray region alone are estimated to produce 4 tons annually. Yet, the central bank's data shows only 1.3 tons were formally exported last year. That missing 2.7 tons. It travels south, merges with gold smuggled from neighboring Sudan, and then exits through Addis Ababa, just like the Nigerian shipment. The profit margin for these smugglers is enticing. About $7,000 per kilo once duties and all that pesky paperwork disappear. Corruption case files, painstakingly obtained by the reporter Ethiopia, detail bribes ranging from 500 to 5,000 birr, a meager 9 to 90 US dollars, paid to airport inspectors. Small change indeed, compared to the massive upside. After the Niger seizure made headlines, Ethiopia's finance minister did announce a 3-day suspension of all hand-carry gold exports. A pause long enough to generate some positive news, perhaps, but far too short to truly rewrite the deeply entrenched playbook of illicit gold trade. It's a band-aid on a gushing wound. So who profits from this shadowy trade, and who bears the crushing cost? Smugglers across Africa are pocketing an estimated $19 billion a year. Meanwhile, African governments are losing a staggering $1.8 billion in unpaid taxes. Money that could fund Niger's entire education and health budgets combined, for instance. It's a direct theft from the public purse. In Dubai, traders enjoy substantial rents, refiners earn hefty fees for their services, and consumers in New York or Mumbai get to buy slightly cheaper wedding bands, blissfully unaware of the true cost. But the real bill, the environmental bill, is paid in the Sahel. Mercury, a highly toxic substance used in artisanal mining, now contaminates the soil at levels 20 times the UN safety threshold. And child labor rates in these mining areas, they're triple the national average. When a country exports $100 million in untaxed gold, it's not just a fiscal leak, it's a structural bypass, a complete undermining of every social contract the state ever signed with its own citizens. It robs them of their future, their health, and their dignity. In the wake of the scandal, Niger's junta initially promised that heads will roll, then, in a dramatic move, suspended all mining permits for 3 months, freezing even legal operators. Markets reacted. Uranium prices nudged up slightly, and gold traders, ever adaptable, shifted their routes south towards Lomé. In Dubai, the DMCC, the Dubai Multi-Commodity Center, issued its usual boilerplate statement: "We have zero tolerance for illicit material and will work with authorities." Yet predictably, not a single refinery lost its license. The UAE and Nigeria did sign a memorandum of understanding to share data on gold exports, which sounds promising, but neither Niger nor Ethiopia, two of the most directly impacted nations, are party to that deal. In short, the downside risk for these powerful smugglers is, at best, a small customs fine somewhere along the chain. The upside: billions in untraceable metal continues to flow, until downstream buyers, the jewelers, the banks, the tech companies, start demanding verifiable provenance for their gold. The incentive stack remains stubbornly crooked. The game for now continues. If this story makes you rethink where your gold truly comes from, and it absolutely should, then hit that subscribe button right now. I drop investigative deep dives like this every single week. Drop a comment below with the most shocking detail you heard today, and please share this video. Let's make sure the algorithm stops treating billion-dollar heists like mere gossip. The 1,400 kilos of gold seized in Addis Ababa are now locked away. A small victory, yes. But an estimated 435 tons will still sluice out of Africa this year, most of it heading for that same glittering city. Dubai's iconic skyline wasn't just built on sand and oil. It was built quietly on African gold that never once appeared on a custom sheet. Every missing ton represents hospitals that were never built, teachers who were never hired, and countless miners who will continue digging barefoot, risking their lives for pennies. The Niger seizure isn't a victory. It's a flare shot into the night sky, momentarily illuminating a vast criminal pipeline that remains wide open. Follow the money, follow the metal, and always remember this: if the price looks too perfect, somebody, somewhere, paid the difference in blood, mercury, and missing states.